Welcome back to the corner, everyone. I am the DM, as always, and today, yes, you probably guessed it, we're doing another Jazzerus video. We're going to talk about another Jazzerus video, because I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of on a kick with this man. Um, he is. I haven't found a content creator that I have just really wanted to just watch even all of their previous content in quite a while. So most content creators, as I'm sure most of you are aware, when you find someone, you maybe watch one or two of their more recent videos, and most people don't tend to go back to like their previous ones and whatnot. But I was checking out this guy's Twitter, and let me just pull up the tweet real quick. Ignore that. Ignore that. Okay, hang on. Let me just those were something else. Let me pull up this guy's Twitter again real quick because he made a tweet that caught my attention, and it was this one. So he says, "Why is PoE releasing more content on a free season than Diablo 4 on a paid expansion? Where is the money going?" And that alone is like probably one of the funniest things I've fucking read. Um, and it's funny not because it's true, and it is true, hilariously enough. But I find it funny because of like one of the first things that he says in his videos. So let's just get right into it because there are some things that I want to talk about that define what makes a good developer and what makes a bad developer. So let's just go ahead and get into it.
Hey guys, today I wanna ask you guys a question because I honestly don't know what is happening in here. And my question is simple. Why does a company that has less resources, that has a smaller team like GGG with PoE 1 and PoE 2, has the capabilities, the capacity to release more and better content than a big company like Blizzard with Diablo 4? Because I don't understand it, brother. And again, I don't want to make one of those. This video is that, but that is not the purpose of why I'm making this video. I know this is going to be perceived as a PoE
It's so
good,
good.
D4 bad video, but that is not what I am trying to do here. I honestly want to know why this is happening. Of course, I have my theories. I think it can be this and that can be that, but I don't know for sure, you know. So, you guys know that I have only played PoE for a handful of hours. I have never even completed the campaign. Because I am saving myself for PoE 2. I don't want to know anything about the game until PoE 2 comes. Some
So I'm gonna let him finish his thought, and then I'm gonna
people
respond.
have said to me, it doesn't matter, just try it out, whatever. No, I am waiting for PoE 2. PoE 2 looks awesome. I know
It
I am
does.
going
It
to
looks
like it a
amazing.
lot, so I am saving myself for that. I want to experience this whole learning curve of discovering the game and all this cool stuff with PoE 2.
So, I don't know if he's going to continue his thought, but I'm just going to pause here because there's a break in what he's saying. So there's a few things I want to address real quick. So the very first thing that I want to address is why is it that Path of Exile is putting out more content than Diablo 4 when Diablo 4's new expansion is the next piece of content, and PoE's Settlers of Kalgura or Kalgur or whatever it's called is just completely free and it's just like out there, right? And PoE itself is a completely free game, no premium price tag or anything like that, right? So, part of this comes and stems from what I was saying at the very start of what makes a good developer and what makes a bad developer. So, especially here lately, we've been seeing a lot of bad developers. In the very last video that I put out with Jazzerus's last video, um, he was talking about how live service games have this issue where they just release something, they release a broken, buggy, unfinished product before before it's finished, and they know it's unfinished. Um, and it's like, why are they doing that, right? And it kind of stems from that same sort of premise, right? So what I said in that video was effectively that the reason why they're doing this is because of like New World versus World of Warcraft, right? New World is a new IP. It doesn't have an established player base. It doesn't have an established IP. Whereas World of Warcraft is an established IP with an established player base. And so World of Warcraft, they can put out this like really crappy content because people will just buy it anyways and play it anyways. So they know they can get away with it. Whereas Amazon, the reason why they can't get away with it is because it's not like a new IP or anything. So they have to be a lot more careful with it and whatnot. And it's part of the reason why Concord failed, because they put out a product that appealed to people who were not gamers and would not play the product. And therefore, when it was released, the people that they were trying to sort of bend the knee to were they didn't play the game. Now, if they had played the game, Concord would have actually been more of a success. I'm not saying that it would still be around or anything like that, but it would have been a more of a success than what it was, right? And so the reason why Path of Exile is putting out more content for free is because GGG as a company, as developers, are gamers themselves. Everyone at GGG is a gamer. All of them play Path of Exile. Every single one of them. From the CEO, the CFO, the developers, all of them play Path of Exile, right? So they understand and they can see directly for themselves where the player feedback is coming from, right? So if the player feedback is this area is way too dark, I can't see absolutely anything, and a whole bunch of players are seeing that, right? GGG and their staff will be going through that exact same area and they'll experience that exact same thing. They'll be like, yeah, this actually is really, really dark and it's almost impossible to see anything. I totally understand. They're able to actually understand that mindset. Whereas Diablo 4, the developers undoubtedly, I'm sure at least half, probably more of the developers play Diablo 4, right? Not just like develop it and then like do a little play testing, make sure things are loading right and whatnot, and then that's it. No. I mean, they actually like go home, they sit down, they boot up their computer, their PlayStation, whatever, and they play Diablo 4. No doubt about that, right? But the people that are actually calling the shots, the big wigs, the executives, the managers, and all of them, they probably don't play Diablo 4. So they're not able to actually see all of the complaints and everything for themselves. They hear that, oh, players are complaining, blah blah blah, whatever. It was like I was saying in the previous video, where you need a large amount of the actual casual, I guess, player base. I said hardcore player base because, and what I mean by that, okay, when I say hardcore player base rather than hardcore players, right? So a hardcore player is someone who plays this game every single day for hours and hours and hours and hours. They study guides, they study builds, they maybe even put some out themselves, and they try to play at like the highest level, right? But the hardcore player base is just that, the base, the base players, the players that will buy the game, they play it for maybe a few hours a day, like 2 to 3 hours a day, right? um Maybe like 10, maybe 15 hours a week, right? And they kind of casually play it. Maybe they look up a guide or two, maybe they watch some other live streamers and whatnot. That's what I mean by a hardcore player base rather than hardcore players, right? So Path of Exile has been around obviously for less time than Diablo, right? However, when Path of Exile first released, it released around the same time as Diablo 3, like shortly thereafter, right? And Diablo 3, when it first launched, was an absolute buggy mess. The servers were terrible. It was always online. You could not, even in their like offline mode, was not actually offline. You still had to be online and connected to the internet in order to play offline. The only thing that playing offline did was make it so that you weren't joined by randos, basically, right? And so it was widely viewed as a pretty botched launch. And then Path of Exile released this free to play asymmetric game that had skills that were tied to gems that you put into your weapons and armor, and they had linked slots. And if you see where I'm going with this, it's Path of Exile was Diablo 2, basically, because that's what Diablo and Diablo 2 originally was, is all the all the skills weren't tied to like a specific class or anything. You got gems, you use those gems, and those gems granted you skills, right? So you could be a necromancer, wizard, warrior, right? You could raise some undead, you could have a bow that shoots arrows, you could lay down some traps, right? And then Path of Exile came out, and that's exactly what you were able to do, right? And on top of that, Path of Exile's launch was not botched. And so a lot of people, if you were around during the early times of PoE, a lot of people said that PoE was what Diablo 3 should have been, right? And nowadays, when Diablo 4 launched, you have Last Epoch that also launched around the same time. And when Diablo 4 launched, again, the launch was botched. It was really buggy. It was a mess. And when Last Epoch launched, people were abandoning Diablo 4 to go and play Last Epoch because they were saying Last Epoch was what Diablo 4 should have been, right? Now, the difference between Path of Exile and Last Epoch is a premium game. You have to pay for it, but it's also a live service game, just like Diablo 4, right? And so the reason why Path of Exile is putting out more is because the developers are playing the game, right? And so they want to be able to experience all of this content with the players. And if they are playing it, right, and they put out an amount of content like Diablo 4's expansion, right, or what some of Diablo 4's seasons have put out, which isn't a whole lot, let's be honest. If they were putting that out, they would get very, very bored of their own game. And as a developer who is passionate about their own game, you really don't want the developers to get bored of it, because when they get bored of it, they no longer want to work on it. And you want your developers to want to work on the game, because that's how you get really, really amazing gameplay and amazing content. Final Fantasy XIV is an amazing sort of depiction of this, where Final Fantasy XIV, Yoshi P plays the game. He has a secret account that he hasn't told anyone who it is, because he uses that account to go and play the game with the players. Right? He queues for dungeons. He queues for raids. He spends time in the game with other players using this secret identity. So realistically, that random that's never talking or might be talking, being like really positive in your party finder, you never know. That might just be Yoshi P. You never know. Or it could be one of the other developers, right? And so that's why for me, whenever I get into like one of those party finder situations, I always try to talk to them. I always try and find out what they enjoy and everything, because that lets me sort of experience what they want to know and whatnot. And as a junior game developer myself, wanting to know what players do and don't like about the various games is very, very important to me, because it informs me of choices to better make content of my own for not just video games, but for like videos as well, right? Sorry, I got to take a sip. And so that's the difference. That's the first difference. Now I just went off on a huge tangent
two
there.
comes.
So,
Some people have said to me, it doesn't matter, yes,
yes,
whatever. No,
that was it.
I am.
So the other thing he's talking about is like he doesn't want to play Path of Exile because he wants to wait for Path of Exile 2, and I totally get that. I do. Um, Personally, I would say because I understand where he's coming from, right? And so I want to recommend that he does play this game. And I totally get where he's coming from, where he wants to experience the systems and everything with Path of Exile when the new one comes out. Because when the new one comes out, that's going to be a significantly better version of Path of Exile. However, what I would say is go and watch some lore videos, right? Rather than playing the game, right? Because he wants to wait for like the mechanics and everything. Go and watch some lore videos. For anyone who wants to know about Path of Exile and whatnot and wants to get into it, but wants to wait for like Path of Exile 2 or whatever, I would really highly suggest going watching just some straight lore videos because the way they are working Path of Exile 2 is it is effectively like a direct continuation to Settlers of Calgar. Because from what I understand, the next version of Path of Exile is going to start like right there with the finished town, right? And the town you help build up in Path of Exile. Um, so I would definitely highly suggest going and watching some like lore videos and whatnot if you're willing to do that, because the lore of this game is really, really incredible.
I'm waiting for PoE2. PoE2 looks awesome. I
And it
know I am
does. It
going to
looks
like it a
absolutely
lot,
amazing.
so I am saving myself for that. I wanna experience this whole learning curve of discovering the game and all this cool stuff with PoE2. So I don't know much about PoE1, so I am not. When I see a news for the game, I don't really understand everything that they are saying. But of course, I understand things for Diablo 4. But what I do understand is that for the new league, which is basically a season in Diablo 4, the new season, but for PoE, they are releasing a ton of content. You can even build a town, my dude. You can build a town. And
Yeah,
that is the
pretty
season
crazy.
mechanic and more stuff, but stuff that I don't really understand. And they are releasing this for a season, which is free, by the way. And by the way, the whole PoE is free. But
Yeah.
let's forget the power PoE is free. The season is free. Well, in Diablo 4, technically it is free if you pay for the game. But you don't get stuff like that in a Diablo 4 season, my brother. So they are releasing a ton of content for a season, but this is the twist for me that I haven't seen anyone saying this. This is for the old game, for PoE 1, which is basically a game that is, I don't know, stagnating. Maybe I am wrong about this because everybody.
Um, I don't know if it's stagnant. Let's Steam DB. I don't think it's stagnating necessarily. But let's check the charts. That did not bring me to oh, because I only typed in Steam DB. That's why it. Okay, Path of Exile. Let's see. So, seeing really positive, 17,000 players. Mind you, this is just for Steam. This doesn't take into account their own proprietary launcher, which they do have. Um, so do charts. That's what I'm looking for. So yeah, you can see this like kind of high and low. So it usually gets to about goes down to about 23,000, and the peak is usually around 41,000. And just 2 months ago, mind you, and I believe this was around the time of their season launch of the current season. That was at 230,000, right? And that's an all-time peak as of 2 months ago. So I don't necessarily know if it's stagnating. We can actually see down here. You can see a lot of these like rises and falls, and that's like the rise is the very start of the season. People jump in, they want to experience the new season mechanics. A lot of the casual players play it, they get it, they're like, all right, this is cool, and then they move on, right? And really only the hardcore players stay. And that's what like this like 16,000 is those are usually like the hardcore players that stay around. Um, but yeah, what he's saying here is absolutely true. The entire game is 100% free. All they have is free cosmetics and things like stash tabs, which some can argue that they're pay to win, right? I don't necessarily consider them pay to win. I think of them more as like pay for convenience. Because having more stash tabs doesn't really do anything. Even the currency tab, they're convenient, but they don't really help you win.
Everybody is excited for PoE2, or the vast majority of people. I know there are some people that say, "Oh, PoE2 looks awful. I am a PoE Andy of the one, whatever." But the main focus is PoE2.
By the way, the people that say PoE2 looks like shit, and that PoE1 looks better, y'all are fucking delusional. Like, I haven't heard anyone say that, but like, if y'all are actually saying that, y'all are like you are more delusional than the people that try to defend Concord. Okay, y'all are more delusional than them. Because, like, okay, I'm just gonna pull up a side by side. Path of Exile, if I can spell right. Path of Exile 1. I'm gonna pull up some images, right? So, this right here is Path of Exile 1, right? This is Path of Exile 1. This is obviously on the Xbox. In fact, let's not use the Xbox as an example because that is just that's just different. So let's pull up a PC, right? So this is Path of Exile, right? And I wish I had installed because then I could just bring it up. So this is Path of Exile 2. This is Path of Exile 1. Path of Exile 2. Path of Exile 1. Path of Exile 2. Path of Exile 1. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's just no fucking comparison. Path of Exile 2 is significantly better in terms of graphics.
So meanwhile, they are designing a whole new game, PoE2, and they are getting it ready for beta, whole new game. At the same time, they are still developing PoE1, and they are releasing big seasons like this one. You have that on one side. And on the other side, you have Blizzard and Diablo 4, where they are going to release an expansion, which is a paid expansion, by the way. And by the way, PoE2 is going to be free as well.
Yeah.
The Blizzard expansion is going to be a paid expansion, the Vessel of Hatred for Diablo 4. $40, the most basic one, because you know they always got the gold edition, the ultra epic edition, the mythical edition. I don't know how much money that is. I know that the basic one is $40. And the only thing we know so far that expansion is going to have, obviously it is going to have more stuff, but what we are sure so far is the new area and the new part of the campaign, the Spiritborn class, which is one of the main focus of the expansion that was released, revealed like 2 or 3 days ago, and the mercenaries. I personally don't like the mercenaries mechanic, but we know that is coming. So apparently raids are coming, which to me it is a good feature, but we are not sure yet what that PvE activity is. They have not fully said what it is, but we know these things are coming with the paid expansion. But that is all. PoE gives to you that and more in a season which you don't have to pay for while they are developing a PoE2. Diablo 4, this is the only thing they are focusing on, the Diablo 4 thing. I know Blizzard has other games, but let's focus on the Diablo 4 department.
Yeah, because that's one thing that people do have to remember, is that the team working on Diablo 4 is separate from the team working on World of Warcraft. The World of Warcraft team is an entirely different department. The Diablo 4 team is an entirely different department. The Overwatch team is an entirely different department.
They are only focusing on this, maybe on the seasons, because they say, no, we work on seasons in advance, whatever. But this is what you are giving me for $40, because I have praised the Spiritborn in the sense that it is a cool class. I believe it's cooler than even the Sorceress. I would prefer to play a Spiritborn than play a Sorceress, brother, 100%. But this is not something so crazy, so revolutionary that is going to carry the whole expansion, brother. People will get used to the class in 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever. Again, PoE is giving you much more than that. So my question is, why is this happening? How is it possible that a team with less resources and a much smaller team can create more and better content for 2 games than one of the biggest gaming companies in the planet for just 1 game? With more resources and more team members and more earnings, because PoE is really popular. PoE makes money. But you can tell me PoE makes more money than Diablo 4. Diablo 4 sold a lot of copies,
Yeah.
and it is still selling bullshit in a store. And the expansion is going to sell more copies because it is a paid expansion. So there is more money coming in.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like I was saying earlier. It has to do with whether or not the developers actually play the, or not the developers, whether or not all of the team, all of the staff members actually play the game. Diablo 4, and this isn't something that is unique to Diablo 4. This is in Overwatch. This is in World of Warcraft. This was even to somewhat lesser extent Overwatch 1 as well as Overwatch 2. Blizzard as a company has stopped making its primary focus the gamer, the people that play their game, the people that have made them who they are.
It is more profitable. The Diablo IP is profitable by itself, just slapping the Diablo name in there.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, look at
as
Diablo
I said
1.
in my WoW video with the World Within, where is the money going? Where is the money going in here, brother? Because I don't understand how this is possible. How is this happening? Because if it was something parallel, I would understand. But you have the Spiritborn reveal, and 1 hour after that, you have the League reveal for PoE, and it destroys Diablo 4 with a league, with a season. Destroyed the main feature of the new paid expansion for Diablo 4. Brother, that I know that I am not the only one that is bamboozled by that, but the majority of people is impressed with how PoE is doing so much, which I am also. But that also makes me think that Blizzard is not doing enough. And some people say, and maybe I am one of those people, that since the game is kind of fun and we say, well, the game is good enough. But is good enough? Shouldn't we want more? Give me the best possible game. You are one of the biggest companies with one of the biggest IPs, with one of the biggest staff and money and resources. Do better. Do better, brother, because that other thing is destroying your ass with much less than you. I am doing this with motivation too. I don't want to hate on Blizzard. I don't want to hate on Diablo. I don't want to be a doomer. Again, I said that I don't want this to be a PoE versus D4. This is not a PoE good because I am not really a PoE player. This is not a PoE good and D4 bad. This is just, brother, invest better your resources. Do more for the game. Remake. Don't waste time on the red taping, on going through 3 levels of agreeing with something to make a change. Do better on the game, brother. Do better, brother. A team with 20 people is destroying your ass. Do something about it. Where is your competitive spirit? Where is your will to win? Bro, what is this? What is happening in here, brother? And that is what I wanted to say. Let me know, brothers, in the comments below what you think about this situation. Why is this happening, brother? And I really want some cool answers, please. Like a logical answer, not just, Blizzard sucks. That is not an answer, brother. But if you want to say that Blizzard sucks, Go ahead, this is a free space. You can say whatever you want. But you guys know that I love reading comments. Let me know everything in the comments below, brother. Guys, remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Help me out, my dude. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. God bless you. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride.
Yeah. So, God, I love this dude's energy. It's so fucking great in every single one of his videos. So, he's absolutely right, right? So like Diablo 4, it is good enough, as he said, but it's like good enough nowadays, especially in my eyes, as both a consumer and a maker of video games. Good enough is only good enough when it's like an indie game, when it's a team like Path of Exile, for example. Like if these were reversed, right, and Path of Exile was releasing this kind of content that was as small as what Blizzard's paid expansion was, and Blizzard's expansion was what Path of Exile is releasing. That is like what I would consider to be like that's good enough, right? Because they're a small team. I mean, they've got I'm pretty sure it's bigger than 20 people. I think I could be wrong about that, but it's like Path of Exile is a much smaller team, right, than Blizzard, so I would expect them to be producing significantly less content than Blizzard. But it's just the other way around, right? Where Blizzard is producing significantly less content than a smaller team. Um, we saw this a lot when Baldur's Gate 3 was first released. Where let me actually pull it up real quick. There was an article that I really want to quote. All right, so obviously I use DuckDuckGo. This is exactly what I typed in. You can type it in for yourself. And since I know a lot of people use Google, we'll just go over to Google real quick. We will Control Z so I can actually copy that. Right, and so right here, very first one, which is technically a different article than this one, but they both say the exact same thing. When this was coming out, a lot of big AAA game developers were saying that Baldur's Gate 3 should not set the standard for role-playing games, when it absolutely fucking should. They say that this is an anomaly, but it didn't used to be, right? We used to get games like Dragon Age Origins, which was a phenomenal game. It was on the level in terms of like quality for the time and everything. It was on the level of what Baldur's Gate 3 gave us, right? Because Baldur's Gate 3 is huge, it's massive, it's super fucking fun, it's got enormous replayability, it's absolutely amazing, right? And of course, you can see right over here, right? And so, this is something that has been going on for a while, right? And Baldur's Gate 3 is just the latest example of a single player game that's come out. It's got no microtransactions. They don't even really plan to do any DLC for it. And all of their updates, all of their patches are completely free, right? Just like Path of Exile. Conversely, you have like I'm trying to think of a really bad one. The only real one that I can think of the most recently that like kind of contrasts Baldur's Gate 3, and it's not really that recent, is Mass Effect 3, right? Mass Effect 3 wasn't really all that good, buggy mess, lots of DLC, etc., 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 right? And so that's sort of the difference is in it. And additionally, Blizzard as a company is focused on being a company, right? Being a business. They're focused on profits. That's why in all of their games, they have enormous amounts of microtransactions. I mean, just look at Diablo Immortal, right? I mean, everyone remembers the classic line, "You all have cell phones, don't you?" Not funny. And then you look at the actual gameplay of it, and just all of it's locked, like a lot of the progression is just locked behind microtransactions, right? And there's no doubt that it made them a ton of fucking money. A ton of fucking money because like I was saying, it's an established IP. They know people are gonna play it. They know people are gonna shell out money. I mean, you have the likes of like Asmongold playing it, shelling out a bunch of money. There are a lot of other creators. He's just the only one that I could think of off the top of my head. Um, and so that's the difference, right? Path of Exile, GGG is focused on making a quality product that they want to play, right? Because they are gamers. Whereas Diablo 4, the developers are told you need to make this, this, and this for the game. And then the developers go, oh, that's cool. Well, what if we add all of these things? And then the company says, oh, you know what? That's a great idea. We'll make it a microtransaction. And so yeah, if Diablo 4's expansion was just free, it being a smaller one would still fall into the category of it's okay, right? That it's enough. But like he said, like that's not really acceptable, right? Because these are big AAA companies, and if Larian Studios can put out an absolute fucking beast of a game like Baldur's Gate 3, and GGG can put out an absolute beast of a season like Settlers of Kalgur, there is zero excuse for why Blizzard, a company significantly larger than both combined, mind you, um, shouldn't be able to not only should they not be able to do this, or not only should they be able to do it, but it should be expected of them to do it, right? They should be expected to, at a bare minimum, match the level of content, the level of quality that these other companies, these other independent indie companies are putting out. And by the way, that is what indie means. It means independent. It doesn't mean like small. It doesn't mean like, oh, they only have like 10 employees. No, it means they are an independent studio, and that's what GGG is. And I absolutely love them for it. Um, so yeah, uh, that's all I got to really say. Path of Exile, I I'm looking forward to it. And hey, Jasperus, when PoE 2 drops, if you want to, I don't know, maybe play some together, let me know. I would love to. So, anyways, thank you all for coming to my corner. I've been the DM as always. If you liked the video, hit the like button, hit subscribe. If you didn't like the video, hit this like button. Leave a comment, let me know why you didn't like it. And I will see you all later.